This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can pick up some right now online at txbrewing.com. Join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club. Be a part of the community and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Sanitary concerns when taking gravity readings from a fermenter. Is it okay to crush my hop pellets? Troubleshooting a secondhand kegerator. And why are my bottles undercarbonated? This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 326. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to the World Wide Web at homebrewhappyhour.com. Click on that Submit a Question link at the top of the page. Or now you can call, leave a voicemail, get a $25 gift card, and be Todd's best friend at 325-305-6107. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the co-host. First co-host, he is the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com down there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com over my right shoulder right here, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
Good.
You're always so short. Someone actually told me that recently, Todd. They were like, Todd's just short with you now on the show. I was like, he's just short with me in real life. He's actually just short. What are you, 5'7", 5'6"?
8.
You are not 5'8". I'm taller than you. You are not 5'8". I'm going to do to you what my wife did to me when I told her one day I was 5'9". She laughed at me. She goes, no, you're not, because I'm 5'10", and you're 2.5
Says it right here on my license, 5'8".
Yeah. What is my license actually is the first place I lied. Well, hold on, hide that. Golly.
What?
I'm going to have to cut that out. You don't want people seeing like your license number and all that. Yeah, mine says 5'9". I am a liar.
I know, I could give them your Social Security. I think I have it right here on top.
Stop it. I will have to edit the show. Yeah, apparently you can just lie on your driver's license, James. I don't know if you know that. I bet you're the only honest one, because tall people don't have to lie about their height. They're extremely.
Yeah.
What are you?
I'm a little taller than that, but
6'2". What are you?
6'4".
See, oh God, you always tower over us. We gotta. Are we gonna do the Diligence Island for club night at HomebrewCon this year, or what? We gotta either that, or you need to be a ball lock keg. Todd can be a pin lock keg, and I can be a converted pin lock keg. I mean, we have to figure something out for club night. Which
I'll come as a German brewer.
Oh yeah, you did get some Lederhosen? Oh no! What? No,
I'll just wear a Schlüssel shirt.
Yeah,
and tell him I'm a German brewer.
Oh God, and that like in the office where he was his shirt says like "Hi, I'm Dave" or something. Yeah, that's what I came.
Yeah, a hole punch, 3-hole punch.
That
Jim.
one too. Yeah, 3-hole punch. I'm 3-hole punch, Jim. I'll start with that segue. I don't actually have a banner for it because they haven't updated the website yet, but HomebrewCon officially gave us a time slot, 1:30 p.m. Friday, June the 23rd, if that's that Friday. We will be giving our presentation in San Diego for HomebrewCon 2023. We're doing it on All About Draft Systems. So if you want to learn even more about the joys of kegging and dispensing beer on draft, you should go to homebrewcon.com, register to be an attendee. I think they're still doing early bird pricing till maybe the end of this month. If you just go to homebrewcon.com, you should be able to find all the details. But we are terribly excited about actually having our talk accepted, and we're going to do a road trip there. We're going to stop in Arizona, visit some buddies. We're going to make a whole thing out of it. I'm very excited. And then before we started recording, Todd, you were like, wait a second, Friday, is that before or after club night? And I was like, oh, it's before. It is the day of club night. You're like, okay, perfect, because we're going to be plastered the day after club night. We're planning on having a good time at club night, I do believe. So what? I don't even know if you're listening to me. You look distracted. Oh, okay. Yeah. So HomebrewCon is my first bit of small talk. My second, how was y'all's Easter? Everybody have a good Easter in here?
Yep, had all my kids there. It was great.
Did you get that other keg of Irish Red on tap?
Yes, I had somebody my brother put it in there for me.
Follow up?
Or maybe it was Keon. I think it was Keon. Yeah.
Follow up, is there any left?
No.
You're a liar. My trip for I was supposed to be up there Monday, Tuesday. We decided, because Todd was preoccupied Monday, that I'd come up this following week. And I think you just delayed it so that you'd have time to hide the beer from me. But
no, I thought you were going to just come down later in the week instead of on Monday.
No, well, oh yeah, you're right. I should have. I guess I could have. I could have come up right now. I could have been recording this with you side by side, one camera.
Yeah, mic. You're right. It's better you stayed. Yeah.
Yeah. Recording it up there is logistically just weird now that I don't.
Hard. Yeah.
It's hard. And I'll fly right through this. The last bit that I have written down, the Dover, on the small talk part is our Trub Club options. If I can get, let me just put that on the screen. Boom! The month of April has options. If you're receiving a recipe, you can pick from the delicious Unterdruck German Pilsner, or if you don't want to try your hands at lagering or even pressure fermenting, which you can do at ale temps, guys, just so you know, if you have a vessel or even a keg. But either way, Unterdruck German Pilsner, or a Yellow Rose IPA clone, which is it's a smash recipe using mosaic hops and Pilsner. Oh, wrong screen. There we go. Both are solid. I think, Todd, aren't you going to brew the Yellow Rose? You've committed to?
If I can, yeah. As soon as I can.
Oh, that's right.
I can't lift anything now.
Yeah, so. Good point. But and then James, you've been brewing that that German Pils and Under Pressure is the only way you've been doing it since you.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to brew another Pils tomorrow.
Hey. So. Yeah, you do it tomorrow, Friday. No, it won't be ready by Tuesday, but I'll be up the following week again shipping out these recipes, so it'll probably be ready by then.
And then we got to brew we got to get together and figure out our timeline for the beer we're brewing for HomebrewCon.
Oh, good point. We got a lot for HomebrewCon. We got to figure out. When I'm up there Monday, we actually literally have to figure out the outline because they require it. The AHA does, so we got to get that.
I think we should just wait till the last minute.
Well,
that's the American way.
That's the Joshua Stubing way.
When is it? When do we have to have it by?
The outline has to be turned into them by Wednesday of next week.
The 19th. Wow.
Yeah, and but
Okay.
outline literally is basically what I've already given them, just a little bit of elaboration on the flow of it. The deck, I have to make a PowerPoint. I haven't used PowerPoint in 20 years, but I have to make a PowerPoint using their stuff. And so we'll just have to decide what we want on the PowerPoint. I mean, our thing's going to be mostly visual, I think, of us, like things we're bringing, because we're driving it all. So it doesn't have to be conceptual. It's going to be physical. When we're giving the talk, we're going to have keg kits there.
Physical.
Let's get, yes, don't distract me. So I don't know what to put on there. Maybe I'll put pictures of us just, randomly for each slide. I have no idea what we're going to do, but that's what we have to work out. But anyways, back to the Chub Club stuff. If you go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join one of our recipe receiving tiers. You can pick again. April is a month of joy because you get to pick between the German Pils or the Mosaic Smash IPA. Of course, as always, we are blessed to have the best ingredients given to us by our buddies at Muntons, hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast, who I am repping today. I look very Portland hipster today, now that I look at myself on the screen over there. I do the roll well. I bet you I could drop into Portland today and just be a chameleon. I could fit right in.
Yeah, you're going to have to, we'll talk about it after the show. You're going to have to do a few more things.
Maybe a face tattoo and some other things.
Oh, you definitely don't have enough tats.
I don't have any. I'm a chicken.
That's not enough.
Yeah, I think between the three of us, none of us have a tattoo. Unless James.
I don't.
Oh, yeah. I'll be the first. I'll do it in San Diego at HomebrewCon.
Awesome.
I can't
wait.
HHH on my lower back, the swole of my back.
I'm paying for it if it's on your
tramp
face.
stamp.
I'm going to get a tramp stamp of Todd's broken hydrometer photo. Oh, my wife would literally leave me.
Now that is funny.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Guess how I broke this.
Yeah. Oh, no. That would be funny. I mean, I do things for a laugh. I gotta talk to I can't talk to my wife. She'll talk me out of it. Anyways, I'm flying through this. All the information for Chub Club is again available at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. You can always go to homebrewhappyhour.com/club as well for more details on that and other ways you can support our efforts. I don't think I say it enough, although I try to. We appreciate everyone at every level of the Patreon and just people who contribute however they do, whether they're actually paying members of the club or they're just very active in our community, which we happen to have a very active Facebook group. If you go there, I don't call it the super duper Chub Club anymore. What do I call it? But the links are in the show notes. You can find everything again in the show notes here or any of the websites I've already talked about before. Guys, I didn't bring any listener feedback because I did bring 4 questions with 2 voicemail. So let's get right into it. Our first question is a voicemail from our buddy Peter from Canada.
Hi, this is Peter from Canada, and I have a quick question about kegging beer. So I have been kegging since I started brewing several years ago. And I have 2 stainless steel fermenters. One is an anvil and the other is a SS Brew Tack. And they both have little, the spouts on the bottom that you can open the tap. So as far as sampling, I mean, I've always been told you can sample with those things. And I sample with them and I can take hydrometer readings and whatnot. But my question is, sanitation in that regards is I always wonder what happens to the beer that's sitting on the other side of that tap. If you open it and then take a sample and then close it and let it ferment for a few more days, are you in a sense adding potential contamination from the outside of that tap? So whenever I go to transfer through that tap, I spray some Star San up there or whatnot, but I'm never sure if it's something that's ever been discussed or if it's an issue at all. Anyway, keep up the great work, and everyone there is great, including Josh. Bye.
He's from Canada because he had a question about kegging. Thank you, Peter, for submitting that. I do a way better Canadian accent than I do English. I'm still working on it, guys. Friends from Muntins. I won't do it now, but
I got a killer Southern accent.
you have nailed that. Honestly, I mean, people have commented on it when we're out and about in other parts of the country. People have commented. Todd, I remember a video you did forever ago about transferring from secondary into a keg. And I remember it sticks with me. You had said before that you sanitize everything. You're like, but I'm not overly concerned because there's alcohol in this by now. And, it's pretty good to go. The keg's clean and sanitized and all that. The point was just being like, you weren't over stressing it because the hard part been done. Is that relevant to this question too, where like I know he's talking about during fermentation, so it's not necessarily finished out to the level of alcohol it's going to necessarily be finished at, but how worried are you when you're transferring or sampling, pardon me, not transferring first, but sampling from a sample port on your fermenter?
So I don't have a fermenter like the kind he's talking about. So, because it doesn't matter at all on the ones we use, because they're probably under pressure. Actually, even if they're not under pressure, it doesn't matter because we have a long tube going down to a bucket and pulling a sample. If it does get a negative pressure, it's going to pull a little bit up the tube, but not enough to have it go all the way back into the beer. Well, unless I didn't actually. He didn't tell me what size sample he's taking. If he's taking a 32-ounce sample, I guess that would happen. But yeah. So on these, I believe most people use just a bubbler on the top. But I guess you could also have a tube coming down. I'm not sure, but the answer, I think my answer would be no. You don't need to worry about it. I mean, if you've got a bubbler, and you wanted to get real argumentative on it and say, yeah, because you're gonna end up sucking some air in from the top, and that could have something in it, and you're going to contaminate the beer. But I don't think the way the bubbler is and the water, I just don't think it's ever going to be an issue. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I've taken samples lots of times with buckets, but obviously you're going in from the top there, but you are opening it and you're exposing it to the air. But if it's still fermenting, it's almost immediately going to start pushing more CO2 and pushing whatever that was back out again.
Right.
So I would say, no, there's nothing to worry about.
Well, and I'll say, I know you're talking about with your setup, like the conical, the CF15 from Spike is what you have at home. And that you have one of those in the brew room as well, James. But I've seen you, at least without tubing or whatever, you do sometimes just come off that bottom valve to.
Yeah. And it sounds like both of his conicals fermenters have a sample valve at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So, if it makes him feel better to spray inside the end of that sample valve, there'll be a little beer left over after you sample off of that and flush that out with some sanitizer, then do it. I mean, whatever makes you feel comfortable. I don't think it's as important a deal as you think, but if it makes you feel better, do it.
Right.
So you think he's worried about the contamination on the valve on the bottom? I mean, when you open the valve and you close the valve, whatever beer you could contaminate is always going to be behind where you close the valve.
He's talking about the little residual beer that's left over inside that opening when you shut the valve back off.
Okay, because that would never go back in the fermenter, so there's nothing to worry about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it made me think too, like I agree with what you're saying, guys, about like I wouldn't worry about it. But I don't think contaminants are hanging, like, that valve is exposed, right? To the outward air, but I don't think contaminants are just sitting on there waiting for you to open it and try to sneak
why does it matter if it's exposed to the outer air?
I'm just saying, like, like if I went over there and sneezed on your sample valve,
you could sneeze all over. I don't care. You're not going to hurt anything.
I know I could, but that's my point. Is like, even if I went over, I'm going to sneeze on your sample valve. Actually, we'll put
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
I'm going to submit I'm going to call Marshall over at Brewlosophy, our buddy Marshall, and see. I got an experiment for you. It's Can I sneeze on the sample valve and it not affect Todd's batch of whatever you're brewing? That'll be our first.
But I mean, there is no path.
No, exactly. Well,
to the beer.
Exactly.
So,
I was going to say, because it's just outerly exposed and the liquid bringing it in or bringing it out is not going to go back into the fermenter. That we're all on the same page.
I don't worry about it. I don't
spray
when I sample.
You could, if you sneeze on the outside of the valve, whatever beer is flowing through could get a little of that sneeze on there. But I've done a lot worse things to your beer when you weren't watching. So
I know it.
I mean, yeah.
You not related, but sort of related. Todd knows the one thing that annoys me the most is when he touches my screen. When I used to have touchscreen, you're the reason I'd stop buying touchscreen computers, by the way. He would come over and lick his finger and just smear it on my screen. And then I'd say something. He goes, "Didn't I pay for that though?" And then I'd have to shut up. It's the worst relationship of all time. But yeah, I mean,
for you,
for
it's
me,
a great relationship
yeah. I've now passed on that trauma to my kids, and they know now not to let me know what bothers them. They've caught on quicker than I caught on to you. So now when Todd does something, he looks for a reaction from me, and if I don't give him one, he's like, "Oh, okay, it doesn't bother him." So I've gotten to be a really good actor. But back to wrapping up Peter's question, I'm not going to drag it out just for the sake of it. Like James said, if it makes you feel better, right? Do it. Like you can't over sanitize at any point. And if people listening may write in and go, "Actually, guys, I did have a contamination. Here's how I think it happened." I'll play it on as a feedback, but I doubt you're going to have any issues just drawing from that sample valve, mostly because there's no path, like Todd said, for contaminants to get back in effectively. I can't see how it happened, but I'm open to being wrong, as is the rest of us on the show. These are just our opinions. I would like to say we're the expert on contamination, but we're not. I don't want to be the expert on contamination. So anyways, Peter, thank you so much for submitting the question. A reminder, if and when you leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107, you'd get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. If you go to our website at homebrewhappyhour.com, use that submission link at the top of the page or text the aforementioned phone number, you still get a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty good. Our buddy Aaron wrote in using the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com, and he wrote, "Like most other homebrewers, I use hops in pellet form. Sometimes my bags come with crushed hops in the bottom, which made me think, does it matter if the pellets are crushed or not? Could I crush them all before throwing them in the boil, or will that mess things up? This is something I've never thought about until opening an ounce pack from my local supplier, and about 1/3 of it was crushed to the point of being powder. What does the Homebrew Happy Hour crew think? Prost." Oh, I put the wrong signature there. This is Aaron. But anyways, Aaron, great. Yeah. Aaron, thank you for submitting that question. That it is a good question. Sometimes when I'm bagging hops upstairs, I feel bad. When you get to the bottom of any of the bags, it's going to be more powdered, right? And not I say powdered, crushed. It's not like powder. It's more crushed. I always try to disperse it to where I'm not giving a full bag, all of that stuff. And it's just a psychological thing for me. I'm like, no, these guys, like, there's something about the hop pellets and all that. But I've never thought about it either. Is there going to be any change in efficiency or how your end result happens if I just crush them all and throw them in at the boil, James, or whenever the hop schedule calls for it?
I wouldn't really. You notice when you put them in a boiling pot of wort, they just disperse immediately. They just almost dissolve into the wort. Some of that powder is probably parts that fell off the pellet. You know, I just don't know enough to say, is the alpha acids in that powder? That would be a good question. I mean, that'd be a good test if you had, you know, we do a lot of hops and do a 5-gallon batch of beer and just use the powder without any of the pellets themselves, because some of that stuff's leaves, compacted leaves.
Sure. And
see if that makes a difference. Because honestly, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know how much alpha acids reside in the powder, or if that powder is just a byproduct of the pellet itself, and there's no importance to it. I know that when you throw it in the boiling wort, it dissolves almost immediately into just a green goo.
Very quickly. I agree. Todd,
yeah.
Now, don't roll your eyes at the question, because sometimes I bring questions and sometimes you're like, well, why would you do that? It's a hypothetical. Sometimes people receive their hops all crushed and whatnot. Would that bother you as a consumer if you got it, or are you perfectly okay with it, whether or not you think you would do it on your own?
So hop pellets are basically just like hammer milled hops that are recompressed using a dye, I believe, and some sort of a dye back into pellets. So when you put them in the water, they're going to go back to where they were. I think that powder is just what they were before they were compressed.
Right. So you're saying go for it. It won't make a difference. It's not going to be. It's not going to be.
I don't see the reason for turning it into a powder. I mean, that's the pellets. You drop them in, they're immediately going to break back down into it. I mean, if you want to, for some reason, bang them back into a powder, yeah, I mean, go for it. I just don't see the reason behind it.
When I come up and help you brew, is it going to bother you if I put the?
I'll get the hammer for you.
Okay. So it's okay. It won't bother you. Okay. I just want to.
The only thing I don't think you'd want to make them more powdery than they originally were when they were formed into a pellet, because then you're going to have sediments that's finer. So.
That's
what would be the purpose of that?
No,
I mean,
that's
just
a good point.
whatever that fineness of that powder was that they formed into a pellet, they've been doing this a long time and they probably know which one works. So, why make it? What would be the benefit of making it finer? I don't see any benefit.
Right. But in the same breath, you don't see any glaring negatives either.
Well, unless you got it a lot finer than it was, and then it's going to be harder for that to fall out of the beer when you're trying to clarify it.
Okay. I know what you're saying. That
would
would
be a great question for Hops Direct.
I was just saying it would be,
Yeah,
get them on the show. You're right. And James, or doing a self experiment, it would be good, because you're right. You could brew I don't know, maybe a Kolsch and do a 5-gallon with your Mittelfruit. Well, that's not using enough hops to probably necessarily.
Well, I mean, you could definitely taste the difference.
Yeah.
Because it's a lighter beer.
Yeah.
And we have our recipe set up the way we've been brewing the same Kolsch recipe for years.
Yeah.
So you definitely know for sure
what it should
if there was a
like.
difference.
No, that's a good point. Maybe, that'd be a good experiment to do.
I've under-hopped lighter beers, and it's just there's a fine line there between. I don't like super hoppy beer, but I do want to have hops in my beer. And I brewed beers before that didn't have enough, and it just didn't taste right.
Yeah. And remember, I'm sure it's still a thing, those hop injector things at HomebrewCon one year they gave us. Did y'all ever try those where you add it to the beer after the fact? Like, people were doing it to, like,
Oh yeah, the
tinctures or whatever they were. I don't know if they even.
They were in a little syringe, and
it
was concentrated hop liquid.
Yeah. Did you ever try that?
I never really did. I haven't.
How was it, Todd? I mean, what did it make? Like he was saying, I brewed a beer and the hops weren't necessarily there. Was it like a beer saver?
I tried it in like a Bud Light. Oh wait, I can't say. Yeah, Bud Light. Can't say that, can I? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
There goes half our audience.
We've been boycotting Bud Light for years. I haven't had a.
Yeah, we've been boycotting Bud Light for like 20 years.
People are like, you're part of the movement. No, I just don't drink the beer. I've been boycotting. My dad hates me because I've been boycotting Lone Star my whole life too.
So yeah, I mean, I put it in. I think they had Bud Light. I think that really was the beer we used, and put it in there, and it made it hoppier.
Yeah, so it did. Okay, so if those solutions exist, but either way, wrapping up Aaron's question, not dragging it out again, and it's amazing how quick we go through these when I don't drag them out. Crushing them is probably more work than you need to do, is what I think Todd was getting at. There's no point.
No, I said it was a bad idea.
Okay. Oh, Todd thinks it's a bad idea. I won't use the word bad idea. I don't think it would matter, honestly. I don't think he's talking about making it like pop, 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 pop. Oh, it's not fine enough. Pop, 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 pop. I think he's just talking about pom pom real quick and then pouring it in, like not any finer than the powder that's at the bottom of a lot of hotbads already are, which you would argue is acceptable because that's how they disintegrated in transit or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I said. If it's coming off the hop, then it's the way they made it originally. I don't think you should grind it up more.
Gotcha. And by grind, I don't want to argue semantics. Yeah. Okay.
Pound.
Okay.
Grind. Step
What
on.
If I just grab it out of the bag and crush it in my hand and then sprinkle?
You can't do that.
Like Salt Bay.
You can't do that.
You don't think I'm strong enough to?
No.
Okay.
Sure.
What's the metric?
Are we going for a bet here?
Probably. What's the metric? I can't crush it to powder?
Yeah, you can't crush it to powder.
How many hops do I have to do? Like 3? I could crush 3 at one time. How many do I have to? I'm making the bet, pal.
Are you?
I will if you tell me the parameters.
So, okay, a quarter of an ounce. How about that?
In my hand that I can't crush.
You got to crush it into a powder. There can't be pieces. It's got to be a powder.
Okay. If you allow me to let them warm up to like room temp, absolutely, but not the really
warm up to room temp and then put them in hot water.
No, I didn't say that. Just what? No, because I have to cover my bases. Because if I don't, you will be like, oh, by the way, they have to be frozen or whatever. No, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
I think we could agree on 75 to 80 degrees. 80 degrees. Yeah,
virtual handshake, $5 handshake.
Okay, $5.
Yep, first bet of 2023. I like
it's gonna
it.
Be fun.
Oh, I like it. Let's do it for a YouTube short. Someone told me a marketer recently told me, your videos are great, but you need to be doing YouTube shorts. Have you heard about these, James? Do you watch YouTube shorts?
Oh yeah.
So I guess that's the next path for us. Not just more other content, but doing shorts and a crushing hops challenge sounds like the perfect first video for a YouTube short. And me taking the $5 out of your hands, Todd. That's going to be glorious. Aaron, I think we wrapped up your question. I'm not going to drag it out anymore. Thank you for submitting that question. Another reminder, when you use the submission form, you get a $15 gift card to kegconnection.com. But if you're brave and you call 325-305-6107 and you leave us a voicemail, you get a full $25 gift card to kegconnection.com like our buddy Jared from New Jersey did with our third question of this show.
Hi, gentlemen. Josh, James, Todd, thank you very much for the show. Been enjoying it and learning a lot as I follow along. I have a question regarding my Kegerator. I bought it last year. It was used. If the gentleman is to be believed, it's only a couple years old when he gave it to me. It's a 2-tap commercial Kegerator. It has a tower with the fan for the cool the tower that runs constantly. And it's pretty loud, and the compressor kicks on every 15 minutes or so. For about 3 minutes at a time. It's in a 60-degree basement, and I keep the inside of the Kegerator about 42 degrees. I don't have much to compare it to other than my fridge in the kitchen, which seems like it cycles on and off every couple of hours maybe. It's not nearly as frequently as every 15 minutes with the Kegerator. My question is this cycle time normal? My father mentioned maybe the refrigerant was low in it. Does that sound like a possibility? Is there any sort of regular maintenance I can do on it to ensure it lasts a long time? I'd like to keep it for many years running well if possible. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you very much. This is Jared from New Jersey, by the way. Thank you.
Jared, thank you for submitting that voicemail. Now, I've actually not bought secondhand. I know it's the best way to save money. I'm not opposed to it, but the first time I looked at like secondhand chest freezers was during the like whole shortage of appliances, and they were going for like what new ones were costing the year before. So I was like, I'll wait and look for one, and then I just haven't bought a chest freezer yet. But cycling, it's in a basement. It's in a very cool basement. What can you think, Todd? Like, you have more Kegerators than anyone I know, or refrigerators, not just dedicated to serving beer, but you have more refrigerant appliances than any person else on planet Earth. What are you worried about when the noises you might hear from one of your appliances, or what is normal, what's not, and what is routine maintenance that you do to ensure the longevity?
He didn't mention a brand, right?
No, nowhere in there was a brand.
I didn't hear one. So, yeah, I mean, 15 minutes is not abnormal. I mean, I think maybe that's a little soon, but I mean, fridges do come on and off fairly often. Maybe every 30 minutes would be more normal, or 20 minutes, I don't know. But 15 seems like maybe a little short. But there's so many variables, different brands. I don't know how efficient, I don't know how old it is. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's terribly abnormal. I think the problem is that he just hears it. You don't normally hear the fridge kind of going on and off in your upstairs in your house. Some of these things are a lot louder than others, and it just depends on how they're insulated. It depends on the age of it and the components that were used. And only thing I would suggest would be maybe getting some compressed air and blowing everything out. There might be a lot of dust on there, and that might be affecting things. But I mean, really, compressors work or they don't work for the most part, and they make the noise that they make. And I don't think he's going to change that. Now, maybe we have some HVAC people out there in the audience that could give a better answer. But, with the limited knowledge I have, that would be my answer. I definitely have refrigeration units that are a lot louder than others.
Now, the question of, could it be refrigerant? Are these meant to be serviced? I have an edge star. My dad and I have 2 edge stars, and we've had them for 7 years, 8 years maybe, and I've never even considered that the refrigerant could be getting low. Is that common with residential or consumer kegerator?
It would be highly, I mean, it's not normal. It can certainly happen. The refrigerant too is, my God, there's so many different refrigerants in these things. I mean, they're basically using propane in them now. So, you probably would need a technician to come out and check that, or a appliance repair person. I mean, I wouldn't, if it's holding temperature and it holds temperature well, then I would say that's probably not the issue. And by the way, I would turn that thing down too. 42 is pretty warm for the inside of a kegerator, because you really want that beer to come out about 38 for proper foaming and everything, which means I usually keep mine between 36 and 38. 42 is a little high of a temperature for a direct draw system.
Or maybe he put it there because he was worried he was overworking the kegerator, because it keeps kicking on. It's raising the temperature too much. James, my wife once used to have a desktop computer in our bedroom for many years, and that she would use as her office desk. And one day I remember her asking, the computer's really loud. What's up? And it's my fault. I'm the computer guy in the house, I guess. But what ended up being was I opened up the case, and the reason it was going so loud is because that thing couldn't breathe. It was covered in dog hair and dust and all that. Compressors on a appliance of any kind, but specifically a fridge, is that probably the most common reason why they might overwork? And is that something that could kill the life of a compressor?
So a basic refrigeration system consists of a compressor, and then that compressor compresses refrigerant through a condenser. Now, the condenser is the part outside. That's the part removing heat. And what it does is, after it enters the condenser, it turns into a high-pressure liquid. Now, that high-pressure liquid has to go through some kind of orifice to turn it into a low-pressure liquid. In the process of doing that, it gets cold. And so as it gets cold, it goes through the evaporator coil. That's the part inside. Now, the part inside is and both of them have air flowing through it, so both of them need to be cleaned. I know with our kegerator in the brew room, there's some screws you can take off, and you can actually see the evaporator coil, and just some warm soapy water and a good brush, and you can brush it, clean that goo off, and then blow it out with some air, compressed air. And anytime you can get those two things to work more efficiently, then it's less apt to hit the high pressure cycle switch or the low pressure cycle switch. The high pressure is for restrictions or to prevent from burning up the compressor. The low side is for low refrigerant. Both of them can tick-tock, and both of them can make it cycle. Now, the reason why I know this is I've done quite a bit of AC work on cars, on old muscle cars, and I did restorations for a long time. And when you go to fill one up, you'll notice the compressor cycling back and forth. When you start to introduce new refrigerant in it, you pull a vacuum, you add refrigerant, that compressor will start cycling real fast. And as it gets more and more refrigerant in the system, the cycling goes longer apart. So it is possible it could be low on refrigerant. Depends on what it is. If it's, like Todd said, if it's commercial grade, it has service ports, and a refrigeration specialist can come out, clean it, check it with, I've got gauges. So I've got a high pressure gauge and a low pressure gauge I can hook to the sampling ports, and I can tell exactly how healthy the compressor is. Is it taking refrigerant? Is it low? If it's low, you can see those needles go up and down as a compressor comes on and cycles off. So there's a lot of factors, like Todd said, that could cause that, but the basic system is right there. And if you feel like that it's, if it does that, no matter what you set it at, it could be just the system and the way it works. There's a thermostat on there, and the thermostat dictates the high end or the high temperature side and the low temperature side. If that particular kegerator, they have those points closer together, it's going to cycle quicker because it doesn't allow a temperature change like my AC at home. It's got a live 4 degrees, I believe is what it is. So if you set it at 70, there's 4 degrees leeway before it turns on or turns off. You can our chiller in there connected to our conical, you can actually set those endpoints. So you can make it closer, a tighter temperature range. That's going to make it come on and go off quicker. Or you can broaden that out and leave it. You know, there's a lot of things that can be, but first and foremost is clean the coils, get it clean, and see if that makes a difference. If it's cycling at 35 versus 42, then it's probably just the thermostat, the way the manufacturer has the thermostat set up.
It's an interesting point you made about the difference, like between consumer and commercial. It seems to be serviceability. It seems like commercial seems like it probably has more manufacturer support and the actual ability to have it serviced by, like you said, in this case, a refrigerant specialist. Do you think
we had a True, and it was a commercial grade, and it had ports. You could slide the compressor out, and you could clean the condenser coil. You could pull there was a door you could pull off and clean the evaporator coil. It was way more user serviceable than like what we have in our brew room.
Now, Todd, the one y'all have in the brew room and like that one you have, the bigger one in the barn, are those commercial or are they not? Because they're nice. They're very nice.
They're commercial.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are commercial. I also have a True at home that's commercial. You know, it just, the main difference. Well, one thing about a True, this has always kind of shocked me. I've talked to the guys at True at trade shows before. If you buy a brand new True with a warranty, it is not under warranty if you put it in your house. It has to go.
What?
It has to go into a business. They will not honor the warranty if it's in your home.
What?
I know, it's ridiculous, but it is what it is, right?
Wait, you're spending the money.
We actually talked to him and Todd hit him up at the brow one year about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he confirmed it. He said, yeah, that's true. Makes no sense.
And the True I have at home is probably the loudest one I have when it
the one we had was crazy loud. I had to go back and put dynamite on that, the end, that little cavity that houses the compressor.
Yeah.
The sheet metal would flex and rattle. So I went and put dynamite on the inside, and it just quietened it completely down. But those are a lot bigger, more BTUs.
Yeah.
They want it. You don't care in a restaurant. There's so much noise in a restaurant. You're never going to notice it. Boy, when you're in a house by yourself in a basement, you really notice it a lot more than you would in a restaurant. All they want to do in a restaurant model is they want to make damn sure that thing runs as long as it can. Whereas, with a home unit, there's a lot of emphasis on making it quiet.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. The only thing louder in your barn is the glycol chiller, which they're not even supposed to be quiet. Like no one's ever advertised like a a silenced glycol chiller. They usually make some noise.
Oh, I know, because you've turned it off more than once.
And forgot to put it back on.
And forgot to turn it back on. I don't know why that. Sorry about that. That person keeps calling over and over and over again.
They want to talk to you. They know it's like when you sit down for dinner, and that's when people knock on the door.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so it's
being
answered, and then the same call comes through. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Anyway.
But anyways, yeah. So making sure, I promise people listening, I'm not trying to drag it out. I'm just reading to make sure we covered it. Yeah. And this is a good one for, like Todd said, any HVAC specialist. We'd love some feedback on this question. Because to us, I'm with you, Todd. We're like 15. Yeah, it's kind of quick, but it's used and it's probably a few years old. Yeah, okay, whatever. But the main point, is it holding temperature? And you know, that's what matters the most at the end of the day, is if it's holding temperature. Now, to fully wrap it up, James, you're talking about cleaning the coils and all that. Is there Todd with his beer lines and all that is at best every 2 weeks? I do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, they make coil cleaner. You can go down to a local hardware store. It comes in an aerosol can.
I mean, I always clean I'm sure you do too, James. You want to clean the one at your house, your AC in your house. You want to clean it at least once a year, real good, with a hose.
Just make sure you got good filters on it. And
I don't know why I'm saying that. Josh cleans his religiously every year, right? You clean your coils outside.
Oh, yeah.
Outside unit.
Yeah. Okay. My outside unit has coils. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the condenser out there.
I barter. Todd, you laugh. I know it gets serviced because my buddy who I barter with and stuff, he does it for me. So
nice. Good.
Absolutely.
Good. Well,
I got people
helping. James,
I
have to tell you, that was a great explanation of how AC or how HVAC, AC, however you want to say it, how it works. And particularly the part about it having to pass through that little bitty orifice. And because my dad's explained it to me before, and some kind of a simpleton, he basically just said that it sucks the hot out and puts it outside on the AC unit in your house, and it puts a cold inside. But I thought it was just magic that separated them. So
that's just what I guess they would call the first law of thermodynamics.
Oh gosh, now you really sound like my dad.
No kidding. Yeah, we just get him and your dad.
I thought maybe that's the second law of thermodynamics. The whole time I was growing up, one of the laws of my dad would constantly remind me of one of the laws of thermodynamics, which is that if you put something on the ground, it won't fall off.
Maybe that's the first law of Pierce Burns.
Yeah. Because he'd always say, if you put something on the ground, it won't fall off. That's the first law of thermodynamics, or maybe it's the second. I don't know.
How many things did you break that caused him to say that? Maybe a bunch. Okay. Thank you, Jared, so much for submitting the question. Final reminder, when you leave us a voicemail at 325-305-6107, you do get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. If you text that same number or use the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com like our buddy Steven did, you get yourself a $15 gift card. And Steven wrote in, "Hi, Josh. Don't hate me. I still bottle every batch. Lately, my bottles are all severely undercarbonated. Should I increase the amount of priming sugar solution when bottling, or could it be an issue with my yeast that I need to address? Yes, I know that you all do not bottle, yet I am hoping that one of you can assist me, or at the very least prevent me from creating bottle bombs. Cheers from Florida, Steven." One of the main reasons I don't bottle, besides the whole inconvenience and it's way more work, and why aren't you kegging, Steven? But the other reason is bottle bombs scare the crap out of me, James. Todd and I were on another call earlier today, and he accused me of losing a video he swears we recorded, but I don't remember recording it.
We did.
Oh, whatever. About shaking. It was using the carbonating.
The carbonating video? I remember that.
Oh, son of a gun! Anyway, whatever. Todd
referred a guy to that video and he couldn't find it. I don't know what happened to
God! Oh, I hate y'all.
Oh, that's so funny because that was not a setup.
Hold on.
That was not a setup.
Hold on. I'm giving myself time to edit this out. 3, 2, 1. Okay. No, I'm not really. But he's like, remember, because I held the pressurized liter bottle in front of your face and shook it and you freaked out. Pressure terrifies me is where I'm going with this. And bottle bombs are way more people might get, I might get some flack for this in the comments, but my anecdotal bubble of feedback, which I would argue is more than most homebrewers get, because I'm exposed to tens of homebrewers, okay? Tens of people listen to this show and give me feedback, and a lot of them have told me bottle bombs are a lot easier to make than you think, Josh. They are like a slight rise in temperature when your bottle conditioning, this, too much priming sugar, whatever. But can you help Steven? Like, I'll throw it to you first, Todd, because you're the last one to bottle of us. But for that video we did, you're the last one to bottle. Was that?
Yeah. So those were overcarbonated, if you remember. So
I do. Yes.
So he's asking about undercarbonated. But let me explain overcarbonated first. Overcarbonated, one of the things that I would say most commonly causes it is that they give you this packet that's for 5 gallons. And by the time you bottle with a 5-gallon batch, you rarely have 5 gallons left, because, you've got the crap on the bottom, and you lost some when you were doing this and some when you were doing that. And you'll say you have 4 gallons. So you dump in 5 gallons to your bucket, you stir it up, mix it up, and then you start putting it in the bottles. Yeah. Well, you've overcarbonated because you put too much sugar in there. Undercarbonating, I haven't heard that issue as much, but unless maybe you're not putting enough sugar, or like you said, Josh, a temperature issue.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was temperature, but I've never considered, James, like it could it be the yeast is just not viable enough to last through primary and then take over when the new sugar, the priming sugar, is introduced? I don't even know how you test.
It's possible.
I mean,
I don't bottle, so
yeah, you're right. Hey, James, the guy who never bottles ever, like literally has never bottled a batch.
I've done one.
Oh, you did?
5-gallon batch with clay, and that's the first and last one I've ever done.
Tell us about it.
Well, he did the sugar. He dissolved the sugar on the stove. I think it was 2 cups.
I wonder if Clay, the engineer, put the right amount in.
He did.
He took the bottles with him, so I didn't get to even try it after.
I bet he did.
I bet. Yeah. Well, like you said, yes, this is about undercarb, but Todd, to your testament, it is it's not very, pardon me. It's more likely to overcarb because of the whole solution and all that. And I still have a bottle, at least maybe 2 of that batch of the grapefruit pale that you did, Summer Nights. And that one is one you shared it once with the guy that came over, construction guy, who you happen to know. And remember, you're like, let me pour you one of these other ones. And you opened up the grapefruit and you let it sit for like a few minutes while we were sampling other beer. Is that, I guess that's the only solution for an overcarbonated bottle that doesn't explode on you, is to just let it sit until it settles? Yeah,
I think when you're bottling, it's very common to get it overcarbonated. I mean, I don't think it's rare at all. So yeah, you just pour the beer and let it sit a while, and the carbonation will come out, and then it'll be fine.
Hypothetically, if Steven was like if you were Steven and you knew, oh man, you're right, I'm doing this mixing priming sugar for 5 gallons, but I'm not actually bottling a full 5, and you tried to adjust, could that be why it ended up undercarb? Like there might be missing context from Steven that
you think maybe he removed some of the sugar because he knew he only. Yeah, I mean, of course that's possible. So then the resolution would be no, do the exact, like, follow the manufacturer's instructions. No, but that's not. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The manufacturer's instructions are put this bag in 5 gallons, but if you've only got 4 gallons, then you got to take 20% out.
Gotcha.
But that's only for overcarb, right?
Yeah. Okay, math is hard. I was trying to think of a cringe idea of the week. It's been a long time since I've had a cringe idea of the week. I was just trying to think if it's undercarb. I think I may have actually.
So I have a solution if it's undercarbed.
Oh, go for it. Yes.
So you've got basically a case of beer because you brewed, right? You take a 5-gallon keg and you pour all the beer in there, just close it up, and then you carbonate more.
Oh my gosh, we're insufferable over here. There are people, 99% of our audience that actually writes in or calls in or messages me, because I get that all day, every day to the text hotline, people just asking various stuff or feedback. A lot of the times, they're like, God, some people who write in sincerely, they're not upset at us, but they're like, I don't have room for a keg. Quit making fun of bottlers. Da, 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 da. That's exactly what they probably sound like.
You mean because they're bottlers?
Yeah,
because
they're bottlers. Yeah.
I by the way, I love the fact when you did your wife's voice earlier, you always use that exact same voice. Your wife sounds nothing like that. You realize?
Yeah, well, because I can't do I can't do her voice. Hi, I can't do it. But. Anyways, the solution, Steven, is to keg. No, if you can't, this is another one for feedback. Like Todd said, I'm not at a loss, but it is confusing because it's not common for the bottles
if it's happening every single time you're getting undercarbed beer, then you probably need more sugar in it.
Right. That's where we'd start first.
Yeah.
First we'd start by going to kegconnection.com and using promo code HHH to save 5% off your keg kit order. But outside of the infomercial, add more priming sugar. But worst case, you'll know when you did too much because you'll hear the loud boom wherever you store the bottles. I remember when you did that batch, Todd, you stored them in a spare bedroom under that bed. Is that because you were afraid of bottle bombs, or that was just an easy place to store them?
I don't remember any of those blowing. I think they were just they were overcarbonated, but I don't think they were overcarbonated at the point where I take that back. I gave some to a friend, and he took him to the coast, and he said when he got on when they warmed up, because he didn't keep enough ice on them, and he was bouncing down the beach that some blew up.
No way.
Popped the top off. Yeah,
that's my worst nightmare. That's just, at worst or at best.
That's your worst nightmare?
No. I have a very privileged life. No,
it's just
my worst nightmare is dying in a plane crash. Okay, yes, that's my worst nightmare. My second worst nightmare.
File that right back here.
Yeah. Of course you remember that. You put me on that one year that you hired me back. You put me on planes like 20 times that year, and I told you specifically, "Can I please drive? I'm terrified of flying." You're like, "Guess who's flying next week?"
But I almost always flew with you. The fun part is when something happens and you're sitting next to Josh and you go, "What? What was that?"
No. The worst part, remember, James, you are part of it too. You really like contributing sometimes. Remember, Todd, we were sitting at the airport in Baltimore and we're flying separately, and they put me on a DC-10. Is that a plane?
Oh, I don't remember which one.
Whatever it was, a DC-10. And Todd goes, "Oh, has the highest consumer crash rates of any plane." And I was like, "No." And then James gives me the history. "Oh yeah, they're like in the 90s, like 10 went. I forgot, but y'all went through the whole history of how the plane I'm about to get on, if any plane's going to crash, it's the statistically most likely.
It was an MD-80 is what they put you on.
There you go. Okay.
And we were totally pulling your leg. We were just getting kicked out of getting.
It works. Well, it works. The whole plane ride, I was just slamming whiskeys in 1 ounce or however those shot ones they give you. I was just like, give me another. Taking a Z-Quil. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in my sleep. Anyways, I've digressed so far. Stephen, thank you so much for submitting that question, guys. That is all I've brought for the show this week. I flew through the first part and then I drug out the last two. So right on par for.
No, that was a fun show.
It was good questions, right?
Good questions. We had to think a little bit. They were different, so those were good questions.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all's time. I will actually see y'all next week. So y'all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right. Thanks.
Later, guys, and that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or you can call and be Todd's best friend by leaving us a voicemail at 325-305-6107. Thank you to our sponsors like Munton's Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton's Malt, give them a try by visiting txbrewing.com or join our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of premium imperial yeast along with recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.